Committee tonight for the ordinance meeting, as our Chair Rivera will be late this evening. He expects to enter the meeting later on. So I am opening up the meeting of the Ordinance Committee, this being Wednesday, June 4th at 6:30 p.m. I have with me Councilor Bartley, Ward 3 Councilor, and Councilor Carmen Ocasio from Ward 2 sitting in to make a quorum. Oh, and we have our third person of the committee entering the room now. So I would entertain a motion to take up item 1 and open the public hearing.
So moved. Just a second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we are now in the public hearing, and this is a public hearing for a special permit application of Mass Cannabis Growers Cooperative LLC at 1 Cabot Street to permit a marijuana cultivation facility. So I want to welcome Ezra Parzabak and Brandon Gates to the chambers. And typically, we just ask you to make your presentation. And just before you get going with your presentation, I want to make you aware that just today we received a letter dated May 28th from the Planning Board. And I just want to check in that you have the same letter that we do.
This is a familiar experience, and we have not received it yet to my knowledge, so we're happy to hear what it says.
Well, it's quite lengthy.
Oh dear.
So
okay.
I guess we will let you run through your application first, if you will.
Yep. My name is Ezra Parzabak. I'm based in Northampton, Massachusetts, but I am a consultant helping businesses go through the regulatory process for the cannabis industry. And this is for Massachusetts Cannabis Growers Cooperative. This is Brandon Gates, who is one of the members of the cooperative. I believe this will be maybe the only cooperative license category in the whole state?
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm also the executive director and founder of the cooperative.
Yep. So the cooperative has made a smart business decision to actually take over someone else's previously permitted operations. This is, you might be familiar with the name Milltown Agriculture. Milltown was, I believe, the first cannabis cultivation open in the city. They opened at 1 Cabot Street. So this plan here shows 1 Cabot Street, and the purple and the blue together was Milltown Agriculture. Milltown had to downsize, and they now are only utilizing, and that we're not part of them at all, but they're only utilizing the blue area. And so what Brandon and his cooperative team are using, are going to take over in terms of the lease, is the red area. So no construction is going to occur. No changes to the site in the exterior or the interior are going to change. The lighting all stays the same. It's literally taking one owner coming in and taking over a previously operational site and closing off one doorway that led to the extra area. So there's a doorway in here that's closed off. So up here, this sort of separate building is the Sally Port that every company in that building uses. Most recently, Blossom Flower started her delivery operations out of there. So she's the primary third-party transport company that picks up and delivers product for, I believe, everyone in the building right now. Mm-hmm. Right here is the entrance. All employees of the building pretty much go in here, and this is all shared hallway. And this area right here is the cultivation space for the co-op. So they use the shared Sally Port, they use the shared parking lot, they use the shared hallway, and their lease space is in here, this grow area. There's about 15 people altogether that are part of the co-op. I believe that it's 5 teams. Mm-hmm. So 5 different teams are part of this cooperative entity. And at any given time, really about 2 or 3 individuals will operate this facility because all the teams are essentially having 2 or 3 main growers provide the operations. Just want to.
This is the back.
I might have to change. I'm going to now share. Actually, let me stay on this for a second. In case anyone has, I'm going to share a different image that shows the parking lot, if you're interested in seeing. But as of right now, if anyone has questions about the facility itself, this is what we're looking at. And again, from the special permit that was previously approved for Milltown Agriculture, there is no changes other than who's leasing this space. So a new entity is coming in to lease it. There's also no extraction. It is only a farm indoors. So it's an indoor farm previously operated and inspected by the state and local officials. And so we just need to go through a special permit for a change of ownership. If you'd like, I will switch to the parking lot unless we have questions.
So, I would just like to confirm, it sounds like from what you said, the use of the space has not changed at all from what was originally approved.
That's correct.
And I just want to make you aware that in that letter of May 28th, which apparently you don't have,
Are you sure you didn't get it?
I don't
Okay.
have it, no.
Yep.
the planning board is stipulating that it has to be treated like a brand-new application.
That's
even
right.
If it is. Okay, just
Yeah,
so you're aware of that. Okay,
We spent the last 4 months
all right.
producing a new application and new
Okay, because you can see there.
submissions.
Yeah, there's a lot
Bit
in
of a-
there, so we'll see what that is.
Okay.
I have a question.
Councilor McGrath-Smith, and real quick, my apologies for showing up
No
late.
problem.
I was coaching youth softball, pre-K to first grade, a very intense game. But yeah, Councilor McGrath-Smith.
I don't know how to follow that up. I'm like trying to imagine what was going on at this pre-K to 1 game. So my question is, sometimes when, clearly you're changing the footprint of your business. So does that change any of the interior flow of operations in terms of how you will do business as part of the cooperative in this space?
No, adopting their original footprint was pretty easy for us. Our original idea that we weren't able to complete at 11 Jackson Street with our first special permit had a floor plan that looked very similar to this and was very compartmentalized if we were ever able to have completed our build out. So adjusting to this floor plan was oddly easy. It was pretty much synonymous with what we had hoped to have achieved at our previous building, and it fits very nicely. We don't have to do anything differently. We were always intended to be autonomous from one another as member groups. So this, while might be stifling for some cultivation operations who would like more homogeneous space, we prefer all the doors and all the units, and it allows us to have the micro businesses side by side like we had always intended.
Okay, yeah, that answers my question, because it is not the kind of space that I would expect to see, and or that we've seen in previous site plans. So I wondered how that worked for you. But
Yeah.
that answers my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, ironically, I would say, so I don't know if you know how Milltown ended up having to downsize, but essentially that facility was run more with a corporate structure in mind. So they had a general manager, an assistant manager, they had HR and various departments, and there were just too many employees. So their revenue to cost ratio was too difficult for them. And it was very compartmentalized in these small rooms that you can see. Those are each little rooms. And that isn't great if you're just trying to produce the most volume as you possibly can, sort of corporate structure. Whereas Brandon and his team, in looking for a cooperative grow, where each team has their own small space and they're really looking to do, high-end craft and less volume, it's more like it was not the great flow for the first team that didn't work out in there, and it's a more ideal flow for this kind of facility.
Thank you.
Yeah.
quick, just because I'm walking into this. Co-op, micro businesses. So all the micro businesses would be considered farmers running their own, quote unquote, not quote unquote, but like their own growth operation. But when it comes to the business aspect, when we're like they're selling it out, they're selling it independently of the organization.
No, the organization handles all the testing, all the sales, all the delivery, all the compliance, all of the record keeping, everything except for the cultivation. They do their own cultivation. They can at some point have a certain amount of discretion to what dispensaries they would like to have sales relationships with. But out of convenience and out of cohesion, we have pre-negotiated all the dispensaries that they'll work with.
And all of that would be out of the one Mass Cannabis Growers LLC business.
Yeah. The Mass Cannabis Growers Cooperative LLC is like the umbrella license, the umbrella company name.
Okay. And then, and it's only questions because it sounds different than what I've seen in the
Totally.
past. Because I don't want to say it's a workaround, but there's the umbrella, and then there's other people that kind of can get into the cannabis industry through the umbrella organization without having to go through the nuances that the larger organization has to do. Is that correct?
To a certain degree, they still have to pass background checks, and they still have to be from the state of Massachusetts, and they still cannot have any controlling enterprise association with other cannabis companies. And no, I think it's a time saver more than it is a workaround. They still have to adhere to all the same things eventually. They can't have felonies. They can't.
It's unfortunate.
They can't be an MSO or they can't be an out-of-state operator or. They are genuinely as they appear. They are mom and pops coming from the state of Massachusetts.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's a
Totally.
great answer, Counselor.
Counselor Bacon?
Yes,
So,
my apologies.
back in the day, my recollection is that this model was established so that smaller business owners would have an easier time of being able to get into the business.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah, us pooling our funds together. We attempted to pool our funds and rehab our site at 11 Jackson Street, and we exhausted our funds, and the business almost shuttered until we found this company that was leaving an already built-out spot. Us pooling our money together and attempting to go after these financial hurdles is exactly what we do, and what was the idea of the license together. Yeah.
Any other questions from anyone on the committee or anyone online? Because it is a public hearing. Carmen, just in case, Councilor Ocasio, and I know that borders your ward, so.
Well, it's half mine.
Yeah, half Jenny's, yeah.
Okay, my question is revolved around the traffic. How much traffic are you anticipating from the previous owner that was there before? Because we had, Ward 1, since it's really one way in and one way out, right, onto Cabot Street. So I was trying to get something together with another city council, Mike, to see if we can find another direction to ease the traffic on Cabot Street, like to go a different direction, like onto Canal Street, right? So, which that never happened, but I'm still going to continue, raising that awareness because we did have a few accidents there already. I believe we had two people that passed away there because of the traffic. So it's very congested enough as it is. So, I mean, are you anticipating like a lot of cars going in and out? Because that is a little tight squeeze there. And that's always been my concern, safety for walkers that walk by there.
Yeah.
Or, people with bikes, you know, people with strollers because they go in wheelchairs because they have to go to the store. So that's my main concern, the traffic there.
Sure. Yeah, that's a very good question, and I can address that a little bit. Basically, the previous operator in this exact same spot, Milltown Agriculture, had on average about 15 employees that were in the building at any given time. And I believe they had 15 allotted spots, parking spots. Now, the space is being divided in half, so they're only taking over half as much. But even still, the entire number of members of the entire cooperative is 15. So the owners and the members that are all members of the co-op are not there every day. So luckily, instead of 15 employees that were there every day, full-time workers as part of the previous operation, we're reducing that at least threefold to maybe 5 workers that will be there on any given day, so a much smaller number. So it will actually reduce the number of trips in and out in comparison to the previously permitted location. So that's one. Unfortunately, there's roughly about 6,000 to 8,000 cars that go by that location every day. So even the reduction of 10 cars is such a tiny percentage. So it's not like you're going to notice opening of the traffic there. But I love that you're thinking about a secondary entrance, because there is once you walk into the site, and once you, see, do I actually have a?
I've seen people drive on a dirt.
Yeah, so once you enter the site, to the left, and I'm sorry, we don't have, it's actually right here. Mm-hmm. So right there this is the reason why this is curved here, is that's the train track. And the train track goes right across the canal right here. Mm-hmm. And next to that train track is a gravel road that's big enough for a vehicle. And many people have proposed that if we can pave that can be a secondary entrance, exit, et cetera, or even a pedestrian path to the public lot that is across the street from GTI on Canal Street, just a half a block down. However, it's MassDOT. It's a state-controlled property there, and that requires, both communication between the city that is in control of the canals and the state that controls the train and an area right there. So sort of above the building owner's pay grade in terms of what power he has to actually utilize that spot. Everyone is in agreement that they would love to. It's just getting MassDOT to have a look at it and see what they can do about it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilor Ocasio. Thank you for asking the traffic question, because that is a concern with regards to how many businesses are operating out of that one particular building, and how tight Cabot Street actually is, especially with recent traffic accidents that we have throughout the last week or so. Not in that area, but just for us, we got to kind of pay attention to traffic to make sure that public safety is at the forefront. Councilor McGrath-Smith.
I was noticing on page 12, it says, as the site fills the 3rd and 4th floor, the landlord is anticipating working more closely with the city to find more appropriate parking solutions to update building design that dates to before vehicles were invented. One proposal is to fill a section of canal dead end that is not used, using over $3 million in community impact funds, allowing for more public spaces to be created to better support the economy of the revitalization plan. I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit more to that.
Sure. So if you're specifically talking about the sort of technicalities of filling a dead end of the canal, this has been debated because it hasn't been done for a really long time. And so some people believe that it can't be done, but there are actual sections, and I'm not an expert in this, but there's sections where the canal just dead ends, where the city in the past has filled a section of it and created more space that can be driven on or built on or parked upon. I am told that the lot across the street from GTI might have been one of those previously, a waterway of the canal, which was filled. So that's a great idea, but engineering cost, what the city has capacity for in terms of making that happen is unknown. I'm not sure about any of the answers there, or whether HG&E or what parties have to be on board. I know the city council is essentially advises HG&E. There's a relationship there. That's a great question to ask, especially if the goal is to actually fill these. There's another over 100,000 square feet that's empty in that building. So if we had the good fortune of having a bunch of companies lease it, the parking situation and the traffic situation would be really challenging there. So these are great ideas, but I'm not sure that the technical, what the process is to make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? If there aren't any, do you guys have anything else you would
He
like?
didn't finish going through his
Oh, there you go.
presentation.
There you go. Continue. Perfect.
If I could, I will actually show the parking briefly here, which I always lose. Okay. Okay, there it is. So this shows the, you can see at the bottom where it says Cabot Street, and this is the bridge essentially here, and this is where you enter the site, and this is where that parking is. And right in this corner is where the train track side goes across the canal there. But this shows just what the designated parking is for this facility, and because it's not the full original facility of Milltown, it will be only half of this, so there's only about 7.5 spaces of their total available of these two locations. And then as far as presenting between the floor plan and this site showing parking, that's all I have to present, but I'm happy to go through any aspects of the letter that might be.
So
Question.
I did just at the beginning of the meeting check with the applicant as to whether they had this. We had just received it today, to my knowledge, and they did not have it until tonight. So we can all just walk through it together,
Sure.
I guess. The planning board had a lot of comments on it. So it might be best if the applicant is who's actually more familiar with all of these laws than we are.
Sure, I'm happy.
Lately,
No-
we haven't had
nothing
as
is-
many, for a while, we had very many applications.
I
but
know, yes.
It's not been as often lately.
It has quieted
One
down
second, Councilor Bartley.
massively.
I don't want to interrupt, I do apologize, but I'm just wondering if it's the best use of all of our time to go through this right now.
I remember
Or-
in our last special permit, our first one, we did exactly this,
Yeah.
and this acted as a guide for us to then submit something back in red. So we did like a response in red to each one of these things. And this is all very quick and very easy. I wouldn't call any of these like anything that would hang us up or
I agree, nothing's
change
jumping out.
anything. These are probably all like 2-sentence clarifications that we would
Sure.
resubmit to
So-
Jeff.
But
So
we
that
would
helps
defer
if
to
it
the board.
happens.
Well,
as
so
to what-
that's good news. So, well, we have to really hear from you to get
Yeah.
these answers first. And
Okay.
I don't think it's fair for you to start throwing out answers now.
Okay.
When you just had this dropped in your lap.
Yep.
Even though you think it's pro forma. So, I mean, if I was gonna make a recommendation, it'd be based upon how much time you would need to circle back with answers to these, to the satisfaction of the planning department.
Sure.
And based upon your past experience, what do you think you need for?
Oh, very quick. I wish, if we would have had this on the 28th, we probably would have.
Yeah,
handled this
a
already,
couple
but-
days
Yeah,
would be
certainly
great.
2-3 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 or 3 days would be fine. However, there are some things that I would ask for a waiver on, or I would request a waiver, because several of the things, like a locus plan and a survey plan, this facility, the whole building itself has had numerous special permits that the board has already approved. So to do the survey, again, this is actually, or the previous drawing I showed, is the master survey for this site. So for example, we would request to have it waived to perform a new survey plan when there is a master survey plan for the site.
Yeah, that's something I agree with you, but you're talking about bureaucracy here, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
So it's hard to know whether they'll find any kind of flexibility within the statute
Sure.
or the ordinance to do this.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, there should be plenty, but I don't know what to tell you. So, all right, so that's all I have for questions. Thanks.
So, I guess where I'm at is Dave, right? Councilor Bartley. So, I know, just nice. So, it sounds like we would be closing the public hearing and then trying to get this on the next meeting with the thing, or do we have to leave the public continue?
I think you have to continue
Okay.
it, Mr. Chair, and it doesn't sound like you have to just when's your next meeting? And maybe you could tell the gentleman, do you have another meeting scheduled? I know
I
there's
believe
tomorrow,
so.
but
I
that's
believe so. The 16th, I think.
the 16th?
I think so.
So, may I?
Yes.
So, just having experience with you have plenty of experience with our planning department. So you kind of know how they are.
Sure.
Okay. So I think if you slow walk it with them,
Yep.
maybe in person or however you feel comfortable, then get them satisfied and they'll get back to us. But we have to hear from them first.
Great.
Now they don't make the vote,
Yep.
right? So this body right here just recommends to the full board.
Sure.
So we all know that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, and you just heard the chair say the 16th. So would you be okay if I said continue it to the 16th, to 6:30? Does that give you?
That is very generous. We absolutely would take that. I believe that's the last of the summer, and we would be happy to do that.
Is that a motion?
I will make that motion, yes.
So the motion is to
Seconded.
continue the public hearing, and it's been seconded until June 16th, which is a Monday.
At
just to be clear.
6:30.
At 6:30.
6:30.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Okay, so guess we'll see you then.
Yep, we will address this, send it to the planning board. They will send you their results, and we will see you again on the 16th.
Yeah,
Okay.
you should
Thank you.
Should definitely keep the chair and Jeff in the loop.
Oh,
Yes.
he's been doing that.
I think
Absolutely.
that makes.
Thank you for that.
And
Yeah.
Linda's a vice chair, so, the rest of us, doesn't matter, but,
Okay.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I'll speak for myself. I don't matter. I'll speak for myself.
No, we've appreciated Councilor Rivera asking us to keep him in the loop, so that's been helpful.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to take number 2 off the table?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Item 2 was filed by then Councilor Puello, that the following entry be added to the city ordinance, section 86-325, schedule 4, stop streets. This will be directed to the Ordinance Committee to be heard. Street stop / Furnace Street, direction of travel southerly, intersection Main Street. I have,
Okay, can I ask the chair a question?
yes, thank you. Councilor Bartley, go ahead.
Does Vernon Street run north-south? I thought Vernon Street was kind of east-west. The way I know,
I didn't file the order, bro.
I mean, no, well, this is not this is, Vernon Street runs east-west,
Vernon and Maine.
doesn't it? I mean, I think it does. So Main Street goes north-south, right? South into west side, north into wherever. And then Vernon kind of runs into a perpendicular, right? So I think Vernon's east-west. So am I missing something?
So this is the stop sign at Vernon and Maine that's already there.
Where the street lamp was.
Yes, and the blinking light was, right?
And we all know we want to get the street lamp back. Everybody,
Correct.
we all want that.
Correct, but in the moment, we're just
Okay.
making this legal, is
So-
my understanding.
There already is a stop sign.
And I'm hearing you on that, but I'm just saying, is the direction of travel southerly? Now, my memory is, it runs east-west, but I'll do, I mean, I want to move this out of committee and make it official, so.
So, do we have somebody online that could help us better, Attorney Bissonette, maybe? I think preferably an engineer. would
Attorney
probably-
Dagnan wrote it up, but
She signed off on it, but she would have got it from the engineer, I would think.
So how about we move to approve it as it is, and with with the communication, hopefully Jeff, if you can reach out.
Right, yeah, okay, so
Reach
that's
out,
my
yeah.
motion. Motion to recommend to be put in the ordinance book, and just send a copy to the engineer to verify the direction of the travel.
second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye,
Anyone opposed?
that was easy. All right,
Perfect, thank you.
take number 3 off the table, please.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Item 3 was filed by then Councilor Maldonado Velez. Ordered that city create a housing committee tasked with creating policy suggestions and implementation of office tenant protections, office of returning citizens, and homeless liaison roles and committees to be created by ordinance, while bylaws to be created by the committee. The committee should include at least one of the following: 1 tenant in market rate housing, 1 tenant with Section 8 voucher holder, 1 tenant with MRVP or continuum of care, 1 tenant of a Holy Housing Authority, HHA, 1 tenant representative of a local organization working on housing issues, 1 homeowner, and 1 landlord. This item was filed or tabled on February 7th of 24. Because Councilor Maldonado Velez is no longer on the council, and I've asked around, right now at the moment, nobody is willing to be able to take on the initiative and move it forward. I'm willing to give this order leave to withdraw until we have time, until someone has the time to actually put the leg work into getting some of this done. But I am also at the will of the body in case anybody on the body or on the committee right now is opposed to that. Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. So as a guy that kind of shepherded through his other order, that took a fair amount of my time.
Yeah.
I feel like I chipped in. I think I said at the time that I really like this order, but I'm not going to be able to run with it for now. So,
Yeah.
and I would just say giving a leave to withdraw is probably, it sounds harsh, but really it's a great idea, and somebody will take it up down the road. So I'll make the motion to give a leave to withdraw.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I agree with you. It's a great order, but
Yeah.
it's just right now there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. I'll make a motion to take number 4 off the table. Don't know what it is.
All in favor?
I,
Anyone opposed? Number 4 is from Harold and
Oh,
Louis
I know
Darcy.
this one.
Concerned citizens. Is there a Councilor Bacon? If you want to speak on it before I actually read
Sure.
out. the-
So this was a letter sent from a couple in Southampton who had an emergency response to their home in Southampton when the call was for the same number on the same road, but in Holyoke. Oh, yes. And the houses are about a mile apart, and I really think it was simply human error. I mean, it's a boundary line of 2 towns, and anybody in a vehicle with GPS these days can see the town if they're paying attention.
Yeah.
So I really just consider it an unfortunate human error in that situation.
Okay.
But if they were right across the street from each other, it might be more problematic, but it would be quite the project to change numbers on County Road, which are totally messed up already, but
they are.
they're totally messed up. But nonetheless, I think we can just receive this, and there's really, I don't believe anything practical for us to do for it.
Councilor McGrath Smith.
Are there a lot of duplicate numbers?
No, well, not that have come up as a problem, but the numbers on county are all out of order.
They're out of order,
There's 300s, and then there's 200s, and then there's, I mean, it's really odd. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
But the responders know how it is, because it's been like that
Okay.
for years and years, but it's just
amazing.
very odd.
Have we had any complaints since 2021? Because this is from 2021.
No.
So I
I'd
guess
make a motion that we receive and archive.
So moved.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I should say second. Motion to take 5 off the table?
Second.
All right, can we take them both 5 and 6 together?
Motion to suspend the rules and take 5 and 6 off the table as a package.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So 5 is filed by Councilor Givner. Order that the City of Holyoke amend ordinance that provides Columbus Day as a holiday, but updating the wording to reflect that Columbus Day will now be referred to as Indigenous People Days, formerly known as Columbus Day. Item 6, filed by Councilor Jordan and Councilor Vacan. Order that the Columbus Day holiday ordinance be changed so that the holiday be known as both Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day, so everyone may celebrate both, one or the other, or neither, if the choosing according to their own conscience. This will allow the maximum amount of sensitivity to the issue. I don't see Councilor Givler online because Councilor Vacan is present now. Would you like to speak to item 6?
Well, this was a hot topic a long time ago now. And I think at this point, the best thing we could do is give it leave to withdraw. That would be my motion.
To get both items, please?
Both.
Okay.
We're on
Yeah.
5 and 6 together, right?
I'll second that motion.
Second, under discussion, just in case.
Yeah,
Councilor McGrath-Smith.
I would love to know why folks want to give it leave to withdraw. I went in Municode, and Columbus Day only pops up twice. Once under paid holidays for fire department employees, and one underneath paid holidays generally. So I think that, sure, it's here. I'm interested in just precedent in terms of, I was about to pop on and look at the city calendar for how are we referring to it there. Because I think it's not just, is it an ordinance? It's also how are we using these terms and in what spaces are we using them? But I hear the importance of wanting to make sure that we're being culturally sensitive.
So
Councilor
I would just add, these were filed back in 2022. I mean, they're stale at this point, and if somebody wanted to bring up the matter again, current counselors could file them again if they wish.
Thank you. And I'm, although I have my own personal opinions around the situation, I brought both of them up because I feel like I agree with Councilor Vacan where they are kind of stale at the moment. And if someone wanted to take it up and take the initiative to move the movement forward again, it would make sense to have the conversation with a new order filed, so that way we can have the rigor behind the person that's filing the order. I'm not opposed to doing number 6 where everyone is happy, but at the same time, I got a communication, I believe it was from Jeff, that it still shows as Columbus Day in Municode, and that before it was somewhat of a contentious debate. So unless someone is willing to take it on and similar to the other order, I'm okay with leave to withdraw, but again, I'm at the will of the body with regards to what people would like to do overall.
I mean, I'm happy to take it up. I don't think this is a stale issue.
Okay.
I just think probably it was too contentious at the time for the body to come to any solution that made sense. Maybe we're in a different place now. Maybe we've gotten enough space from whatever that conversation was. Again, I wasn't here for that. Or now, hopefully we can address it in a way that builds to consensus, folks can feel good about.
So, with that being said, what would we like to do then, for now then, Councilor McGrath-Smith?
I would want to just name where an ordinance it has to be changed.
So are we changing it? And this is just asking questions. Are we changing it across the board where it's no longer Columbus Day at all? Or are we doing it so that it's both? Because this one order has just only Indigenous Peoples Day, and then the second one has both as a reflection of both.
I would like it just to be Indigenous Peoples Day.
Okay. So, is that a motion?
I would happily make a motion to do that. To just change it in ordinance where it appears, which is in sections 2-39 and sections 2-38.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Under discussion, Councilor Vacan.
I stand on the motion I made, which,
Was to
this,
leave-
that
to
one
leave
will
to
be
withdraw.
voted first. Hers will be voted first.
Okay, hers will be voted. So then we do 5 first, and then we'll do 6, is what you're saying, then, Councilor Reagan.
We can vote them separately,
Okay,
so, I don't know if she's just amending 6. Are you just amending 6? Because we have them both on the table.
I think with 5, and in fact, it's a slightly different motion, because the way that it is in here, I don't think it makes sense to make it, to belabor it or make it complicated. Every holiday is just named what it's named. I don't think we need to say, formerly known as Columbus Day.
Well, that's a matter of debate, but we took them up as a package, so we have to separate them if we're going to amend motions, I believe, because right now the motion was to give leave to withdraw to both of them as a package.
So then,
So I have to separate them back out,
Well,
because,
just take a separate vote. Just take a separate, we take packages up all the time.
well, but
Just do a
she's
separate vote.
amending,
Well, she made a motion to amend them.
Package.
What's the motion to, she just made another motion. On 5. I mean, let's just vote on it. Let's vote on 5. The
okay,
chair can do
so
that.
we'll just vote on,
okay.
you didn't make a motion to leave to withdraw
Well,
both of
her
them?
motion.
Yes.
goes-
But her
the
motion-
second one goes first,
Yeah, and then hers is, I guess, just on 5.
on
Yep.
5.
So on 5, the motion is to update the wording to reflect Indigenous Peoples' Day and take strikeout that says formerly known as Columbus Day, right?
Yes.
And then there was a second. All in favor?
Can we have discussion?
Okay, that was discussion, but let's go.
Can we have more?
Yes, we can. No worries.
So I'm adamantly opposed to eliminating Columbus Day. And we're going to have the same debate in council that we already had if we go down this road again. So just,
Just a point of
I
order.
predict.
Is it 2/3? It's an ordinance change, right?
Yes.
So it'll be 2/3.
yes.
At the full
So
council.
what this is gonna do, Mr. Chair, is, it's gonna go down in total flames, but it's gonna act as a divisive issue.
Yep, it was
So,
very
and
divisive.
that's fine, but let's move it out of committee so we can clear out your jacket.
That's the goal.
Well,
Yeah, I guess, let's move it out, it's just, I'll take a vote on it now, just.
So I guess,
Committee.
any more discussion just in case?
I have no more discussion.
All right. So I'm going to take the vote. I'll do a roll call vote just because I feel like it's going to be so roll call vote. Councilor.
Well, the motion, I think, is to recommend the change. Is
Yeah,
that what I heard?
Yeah.
Item,
I just want to make sure. What-
we're on item 5.
Item 5, recommend the change, and
Yeah.
but strike out formerly known as Columbus Day.
Oh,
What?
right. Will now refer to.
Well, it's the same
Oh,
thing.
okay, yeah,
Saying the same
I hear
thing.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I
That's what she was.
Still changing it.
I hear you, yeah.
Yep.
It's a little
It's still
confusing, yeah.
changing it.
So on the vote, I'm going to call roll call vote so that we have a clarification. I'll start at Councilor McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Councilor Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Linda Bacon,
No.
Councilor Bartley,
No,
Councilor Israel Rivera, yes. 3-2, it passes to go to full committee. And then on 6, the motion was leave to withdraw.
Well, now I'll make the motion to approve and send it to council along with the other one.
Do I hear a second
I'll second it, sure.
on the discussion?
Well, so the compromise that was filed was for people who have a strong regard for the history of the explorer Columbus, that not be thrown away, but rather it could be acknowledged along with the new recognitions that we wish to have in the city. We don't have to erase history to celebrate different developments.
Councilor McGrath Smith?
I only have a question about how it's worded. I will say the order itself makes me think there's something in the ordinance that isn't there, because it says the Columbus Day holiday ordinance, and I don't see a place where it's really described anywhere other than just like the name of it in 2 lists. So unless I'm just missing something, it's one of my questions, like, is it somewhere that I'm not noticing when I look in Unicode? And then just logistically, what would that look like? Would it be like in the list instead it becomes Indigenous People / Columbus Day? Like, is that what it would look like in the list? logistically.
Either way, why not?
So, to my understanding, to the response of Councilor Bacon, I guess yes.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a vote, right, and I'll do roll call again just to make sure. Councilor McGrath Smith,
No.
Councilor Jenny Rivera,
No.
Councilor Bartley,
Yes.
Councilor Bacon,
Yes.
Councilor Ezra Rivera, no.
You just said you just like the sound of it. a minute
I
ago.
do, but I don't.
I can tell you. do.
I know personally where I'm at, and
Well, the hope is that these will both go away, but you're
that is the hope for me.
you're going to
Well,
delay.
that would've been-
By doing this, you're just adding another hour into the meeting.
That would have been
So
leave to withdraw. That would have made it
It
go
just,
away.
it just
but
really is. It's
Committee
nonsensical.
wants to send it to council.
It's still gonna go to council. It'll just have a two.
All right, well, we moved on.
Three vote.
Ready to take number 7?
Yep.
Take number 7 off the table, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7 was filed by Maldonado Velez and myself, Israel Rivera. Order that we add a grant manager position to oversee, streamline, and expand our grant applications and money for our city. I filed in collaboration with Councilor Maldonado Velez this order in 2022. I brought it up now. For me, it's cleaning up the jacket again. There are a lot of things going on. Although I strongly feel adamant about a position like this, I don't think that there is, again, I'll use other people's terminology, an appetite for this at the moment, especially with all the CAFO stuff going on and the restructuring around our finance department. So for the time being, I am totally okay with this being given leave to withdraw, unless anyone else is opposed.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait, other discussion? Councilor McGrath Smith?
I just wanted to add that like DPW, for example, has added a grant, writer position. So it may just be that we found another way of sort of responding to that initial idea.
Yes, but that one would be specifically just for DPW stuff.
That's true.
I think, and again, maybe the CAFO might be able to take on some of this responsibility, hopefully.
We have a grants person at DPW.
Right, specifically for DPW stuff. This person,
That's,
ideally for me, this grant manager would manage all grants and understand all grants. So that way, we're not getting reimbursed for when we're supposed to get reimbursed, and we're not meeting deadlines that we're supposed to be meeting, because everyone in different directions are working in silos. But again, if we get a CAFO or we get the restructuring, hopefully this mitigates some of the issue. So on the motion for leave to withdraw,
aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Awesome.
Take number 9 off the table.
Second.
Did we do 8?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No
Take
worries.
off the table. I apologize for that.
Yeah. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Order that, this is filed by myself too as well, order that the legal review of Boston Cannabis Equity Program ordinance and begin to draft language similar to it for the purpose of creating a whole cannabis equity program. This is something I was adamant about too as well in 2022. I'm not sure that we have the capacity to do this. So for me, I'm okay with it being leave to withdraw for the time being, especially the fact with the community impact funds turning out the way that they did. So there's a
Second that.
different way to figure this out. So second, Councilor Bacon, on the discussion, I hope there's none because I kind of explained it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Boom. Leave to withdraw for item 8 now.
Motion to take up item 9.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So item 9 was filed by Councilor Maldonado Velez. Order that we allow for overnight parking on city parking lots for people to sleep in their cars. This would be an added measure in the work already being done to provide a safe temporary place for an unhoused population until a more long-term solution is created. Again, some of these is cleaning out the jacket and trying to figure out where the energy of the body would like to, where the body would like to place their energy. I kind of don't see anything barring somebody to do that now currently, even though there probably is policy and ordinance around it, but not sure it's being enforced. To codify it would be a whole nother conversation. Not sure if anyone is really ready to take on this at the moment. So I am at the will of the body as to whatever anyone is willing to do currently. If not, then I'm okay with a leave to withdraw too as well.
I'll second that.
Under discussion, Councilor McGrath-Smith.
I had been talking with Tim Rivers and Mary Monahan about the trash that's been, people are starting to put trash, on Lincoln, on the sidewalk, basically, up of the encampment next to Stop and Shop, because they're looking for where to put the trash that's being created. And, he had sent me this slide deck at a conference he had been at recently that went over the January homelessness count and all the stuff that's happening in the city. And my goodness, like the spike in the last 4 years has not been kind to the individuals that are facing it or to the city in terms of our capacity to support and how we respond. I feel like encouraging folks to sleep in their cars here is not a great response. And so I wouldn't want to support this to go forward at this point, even despite the issue being very real.
Thank you for that. So on the motion, which was leave to withdraw for the time being, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Motion to take up item 10.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 10 was filed by Councilor Givner. Order with community support that City of Hoolick request a PVTA bus stop be added on Appleton between Linden and Locust Streets.
What does she want?
I do not see her here, and I actually haven't had the time to communicate with her on this.
So maybe we should leave it tabled?
Yeah, I was going to say I might leave it
I'll
table.
second that.
Let me see real quick. Yeah, we can leave it table. Okay, seconded already. All in favor?
Aye. A
Anyone?
motion to take up item 11.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 11 was filed by Councilor McGee. Order that Ordinance Committee review the draft telecommunication ordinance changes. This is being filed on behalf of a constituent request.
No.
Councilor Bacon.
I didn't have time to look this up, but I thought we did a revision around cellular and telecommunication where we had the big discussion about we could not stipulate health issues, but we did put in some protections
Correct.
relative to insurance and things like that.
That is-
So I would say that this was complied with.
Yes.
Sorry.
I can. There's a second as a
Yes.
motion under discussion. Councilor McGrath-Smith.
It was from a constituent up on Central Park Drive, and I spoke to her, and I don't think that she loved what we did with that ordinance, but also, here's where we are and where our hands were tied in a lot of ways. We did the best that we could with it, and I think that we absolutely should mark it as complied with.
Correct. And I got a communication from the law department that says this predates almost everyone in the law department, and they are not familiar at the moment with the conversation. So I'm okay with that.
So I would just let you know that I spent hours on that ordinance
remember.
with her. And I think we did a pretty good job
Yeah.
at making it stronger than it would have been if we hadn't considered her input.
Yeah,
Nothing's ever perfect, I guess
That
is
is
what
correct.
we'll leave that with.
absolutely.
So the motion is for it to be complied with. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
A motion to take up item 12.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah, I was gonna say I need some more ayes.
Aye.
Yeah. Item 12 was filed by Councilor Givner. Handicap application from Yolanda Velasquez for a handicap sign at 120 Oak Street, number 1. The communication I got was that we are assuming that we were going to get information from DPW on measurements for item 12.
Did the Handicap Commission get back to us?
I don't have a communication on that, and they didn't reference.
Maybe we should table this.
Yeah, we can table this.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Jeffrey, go ahead.
Yeah, so my point person at DPW had been Jonathan Moquin, and we just learned this week he was appointed the new director of the Parks Department.
Congratulations.
And so Victoria is working on getting an alternative for me, but it was approved. Counselor Givner did reach out to the applicant. The last meeting, it was tabled because they couldn't put it in front of their own building because it was too narrow. And the applicant was okay with it being one structure over, because there is room there. I just, haven't been able to get measurements because of the change in the DPW.
Thank you, Jeff. Counselor Reagan?
So I would suggest that we approve the handicap parking spot pending the measurements being available at the next city council meeting.
I'll second that.
Awesome. Under discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? None. Alrighty then. And that is the last order for tonight's agenda. If there's anything laid on the table that anyone feels like that they could take up at the moment, feel free to bring it up if you want now. If not, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn too as well.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Everyone have a good evening.
You too. Good night.